Rich, and I am the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction in Downers Grove School District 58, and this is a screencast to walk you through how to read a MAP parent report. In front of us we have some results from our MAP testing. In the first area, our first area of assessment is language usage. And in this language usage, we can see that the child has taken it 2 times, in the winter of 2013 and in the spring of 2013. The child was a 3rd grader, and the child's RIT score, or general language usage score, is right here in the middle. In the winter, the child scored a 193. The error range was from 190 to 196, but really we're going to talk about 193 being this child's score. And in the spring, the child progressed or grew 4 points to 197. The error range once again is plus or minus 3. We can see that the child stayed consistent between the 40th and the 41st percentile. Over here on the graph, we can see that the child scored a 193, which was below the district average and below the national average on this assessment. The child progressed to 197, or grew 4 points, which was still below, but the same distance below the district average, and still below, but 1 point less, the national average. Importantly, we can look at these 3 goal areas underneath. In these 3 goal areas, writing, planning, organization, development, revising, and research, we can see that the child's RIT score was between 196 and 207. The real number we're interested in is the midpoint of these numbers, or in this case, about 202. That child scored a 202 in the area of writing, planning, and organization. What the teacher can do, knowing that information, is go to a thing called Descartes, such as this, look at, and then we have parts of speech up here, see where a 202 would be, and start to provide guidance for that child in these types of skills, because that child needs this support. If we look at the mathematics scores for this child, we can see that the mathematics looks the same way. Child took it twice, winter and spring of 2013, both in 3rd grade. The child progressed from a 206 to a 210, with slight change of the percentile range, moving from the 72nd percentile to the 70th percentile. The child is growing, but growing a little slower than their peers that scored in the same piece. Once again, we can look at the goal areas here on the mathematics sides: operations and algebraic thinking, numbers and operations fractions, geometry, numbers and operations base 10, and measurement and data. And see, an area where we can really help this child grow is geometry. That was significantly below some of these other scores. And if we look at geometry skills on the Descartes piece of about 200, we'll be able to target where that child is at. Once again, you get the child score, the district average, and the national average scores for both winter and spring. The same is true in the reading scores. We can see that this child progressed in comparison to the previous performance, comparison to the national, or the national here in yellow, and to the district. Goal area data can be found in literature, foundational skills and vocabulary, and informational text. That's our nonfiction materials. We are also provided lexile range, which allows us to look at the complexity of text and syntax in order to identify books that that child would be appropriate to start reading. Remember that lexile only looks at how the text is structured, does not look at theme, interest, or appropriateness of content. Once we know this information, we can look beyond that as a district. As a parent or a teacher, you can look at resources for teachers from the fortheteachers.org website. This allows you to look at different goal areas and figure out what skills children need to look at next. Our staff can look at Descartes and identify specific areas that a child needs to be working on and specific skills to work on in the classroom. And both our staff, parents, and students can look within our curriculum website to identify if they are working in geometry and identifying the curriculum objective of identify and draw lines of symmetry. They can look at the RIT band performance of where that child scored, identify resources, and supplementary resources in order to support that learning. Hope that this has been helpful to you. Thank you so very much for listening.